It's time to talk fantasy football. It's time to let them know. Where you let us crunch the numbers while you crush the competition. So grab your playbooks and crack a cold one, because here's your hosts, Teak and Baney.
Hey guys, welcome back. In this episode, we are going to do a video mailbag segment again with an entry. We're going to follow that up with the stardoms. And then tomorrow is going to be our situms, so make sure you tune in. We have a full 3 days of content for the week. We're going to switch to that scheduling, which is nice. So it gives you guys more things to view, more things to look forward to coming up in the week. Stay tuned.
Mail time.
All right, guys, we have another video entry mailbag question from Hybrid from Erie, PA. Let's go to the tape.
Yo, what up? It's your boy Hybrid, and for the Let 'em Know watchers right now, hit that like button and subscribe. And my question for you guys right now that week 2 is finally over, which winless team can make a final push to the playoffs?
All right, guys, you heard them. What 0-2 team has the best chance of making it to the playoffs? Banny, why don't you start this one off for us here?
Hey, thanks for the shout out too. Thanks for trying to get us subscribers on YouTube, followers. We appreciate that, man. That goes a long way for us. Mine's gonna be the Chargers. It's also gonna start the trend for my sits and starts today as far as make it or break it's, put up or shut up. This team is historic. Their offense is historic this year, and I'm not saying that because I'm biased. I'm saying that because they're the only team ever to go 0-2 and score 50 points with 0 turnovers. They're second in yards per game, fourth in points per game, first in rushing yards per game. Week 1 was like one of the 7th most efficient rushing games of all time. Week 1, they had 460 total yards of offense, no turnovers. 110 teams to 0. That's the record. 110 to 0. The Chargers were the first team to lose, totaling that amount. That's crazy. Took two of about 500 yards passing to do that. Week 2, teams with 275 yards and no turnovers passing, 382 to 96. Again, the Chargers lost. That can't continue. And if it does, Staley's not going to be the head coach anymore. And I think maybe Kellen Moore could slide into that role. And I think that would be great for them. This team it's too much firepower on offense to not make the playoffs. And if it does, it's a complete and utter failure. You have to blow up the coaching staff. That's my team that needs to make a push. They have to, I believe.
Yeah, just to go off that too, because my pick is also the Chargers. Just to add on to that, Baney did cover a lot there. Other reasons I'm not picking other teams, Vikings don't really have a defense. We've seen that in the past 2 weeks whatsoever to make that push. Defense does win championships. And the Bengals, it is worrying me a little bit. I don't know whose Badge's pick is, but talking about the Bengals, man, this calf injury is kind of lingering with Burrow, kind of worrying me a bit. So if he's not 100%, it doesn't look good for him whatsoever. And my other pick would have been the Pats. They're just in a tough division, man. That division's stacked to the gills, I think. It did help them a little bit with Rodgers getting hurt, but still that defense, that's still a great defense in my eyes too with the Jets. So, Badge, who do you think's gonna make that push for playoffs starting 0-2?
I mean, that's a great question, but Hybrid, thank you for your support. First of all, we appreciate you. Thanks for the shout out from EPA. I mean, touching on your guys' comment about the Chargers, I feel like this is a must-win game for them. So I loved your guys' answers. Staley too could be in the hot seat, but my most surprising 0-2 team coming from the North, a huge Steelers fan, Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, that's all I heard in the offseason. Bengals are going to own the North. They're going to go 13-3. Chase is going to be the number one receiver. T. Higgins could be a number one receiver anywhere else. Best duo ever. Great offense. I mean, this calf injury is a bit concerning. I didn't think it was that big. I mean, I thought Burrow signed the contract right after. I mean, this 0-2 Bengals start is a bit surprising to me. I mean, as a Steelers fan, the Bengals, they're a tough team. I mean, they got a bright future ahead. I'm worried about them. So to me, the Bengals starting 0-2, that is a big shocker. I mean, I think they can turn it around. It just all depends on this injury. So, yeah, the Bengals for me. Can you guys comment on that?
I think it's like Burrow's like fourth time starting 0-4 or 0-2 to start a season, I think, for Cincinnati. So I don't think that this is anything new. You and I were talking off camera about, when's the time to possibly pull the trigger on Jamar Chase trades, and then we both came to the same conclusion, like way too early. Like they're always kind of a slow start. Joe's missed camp last 2 years. Like we saw how it turned out last year. I mean, you got a puncher's chance in the AFC North. And it's that simple. You can talk at length about defense for Pittsburgh. Cleveland has a good defense. Baltimore looks like they're kind of putting pieces together, and Cincinnati always shows up at the end of the year. So, like I said, it's a puncher's chance, and it's about as good as you can ask for in that division.
Yeah, you guys kind of hit on the head there with those. Just that calf for me, man. Like I said, if that severity is there, then that worries me for them. Otherwise, if he can play through it and be what he is normally, yeah, they would be a top team in my eyes as well to make it to the playoffs. But thanks again for that video entry. Guys, again, we love those. So if you just have a question for us, we might be featuring you on the next video here for your question. Just submit it to either our Instagram, Facebook, and then we'll look them over, pop one in for you guys. But we're going to move on now to the stardoms. All right, guys, we're going to get to week 3 stardoms here. We're going to start at the QB position. We're going to go around the horn here. Vanny, why don't you start us off at the QB position here?
Alrighty. I said it in the mailbag section. This is my make or break sit-em stardoms. And I'm standing on it. I have this guy in my own fantasy league, and it is going to be Justin Fields for me. And I'm saying that because they have to figure it out. This needs to be productive, and whether that's on the rushing or passing, I don't think it's going to be on the passing. They need to get it figured out, and they need to get it figured out quick. And I think that there's going to be a lot of pressure on this front offense because I think the Packers are actually pretty decent, and I think that they were banking on them being terrible and that this Bears offense would look a little better than it does. It doesn't. That being said, I think if he has another down week, he's no longer going to be a starting quarterback in people's lineups until they get it figured out. And this happened last year. The first 4 weeks, everybody gave up on him, and then the end of the year, they just started running the crap out of him, and he turned into, I think, QB4 at the end of the year. Chiefs have given up an average of 300 yards per game, right around 100 yards rushing per game as well. That being said, they've also had 5 sacks and 4 forced fumbles. Fields is going to have to run. He's going to have to run a lot. He's going to be running from Chris Jones, and that's great as long as it turns into productivity. I've said it a million times here. Passing yards are worth 0.04 points compared to 0.1. Rushing touchdowns are worth 6 versus 4 for a passing touchdown. Need him. Absolutely need him. And if he doesn't show up this week, then I guess I can stop looking at Jared Goff on my bench because it's going to be a flip-flop. Like I said, there's going to be a trend. It's going to be a put-up or shut-up week for me. And this guy, I think, needs to have a good week. And they're going to have to score and compete if they're going to keep up with the Chiefs, man. So, not saying they're going to win. I don't think that that's a chance. I think that they're like 14-point underdogs this week. So yeah, Justin Fields, please run for 200 yards. Sincerely, your owners.
Badge, do you have any? I'm gonna hold my punches on this one. I feel like I'm gonna talk about him later on. So do you have anything for Justin Fields, Badge?
Yeah, I mean, I can't throw punches. I was big on this guy. We all know that. Bit surprising that he's struggling like this. I thought they were going to carry on that momentum with him, dating back from last year, how hot he was. Um, he is a tough test. I mean, I noticed Chris Jones coming back. What a difference. I mean, they shut down T Law, and that was one of my bets last week. I mean, what a difference in that defense. He's gonna have, this is gonna be a make or break for him. I mean, he needs to put up some fantasy points to keep open Mahomes. He's gonna have to run, probably roll out to his left, away from him. I mean, the guy, he has some weapons, so I want to say he's gonna do it. I was big on him. I called him an MVP, a league winner. So it's only week 2, guys. So I'm not giving a hope yet. So, I mean, Fields, you got to do it, man. Let's go. Pick it up. So, Teak,
The only
what do you got
thing,
to say?
yeah, the only thing I'm gonna say, because I feel like I'm gonna talk about him, like I said later on, is yeah, he's big for the rushing. Everybody drafted him for the rushing. Well, last week he had 4 attempts for 3 yards and a touchdown. It's not going to get it done. Week 1 he had 9 for 59. Okay, a little bit better. Still put up 15 fantasy points. That's not going to do it. Your average QB's putting up 20. Uh, that doesn't rush the ball. So you drafted him for a reason. He's not doing that. He continues to not do that. I don't think he will, just because if you have a franchise QB, you want to protect him. Seeing all these injuries happen in 2 weeks already, I think the Bears are going to play scared with him. They're not going to. It's not going to be a last year thing. So if that's the case, like I said, he's not going to be a QB in my lineup.
I just don't get it. Like I don't understand. Like all his value is in his legs. All of his value is right there, and they just refuse to do that. And it's like the coaching offense mirrored at the end of the year. They mirrored what they were doing with Lamar, and then instantly had success, which seemed like overnight success with Fields. And then it's like this year they just try to turn him into what everybody knows he's not. And that's a pocket passer. So it's like let him run, just let him do it, and reap the benefits from it. And then once that's working, you roll him out, dink it off to DJ, which DJ Moore still had a great week last week. And you're talking about the 20-point mark. If Fields could just limit the turnovers, he would be hovering that 20-point mark both weeks. But I don't know, man. The turnovers have been the Achilles heel and the lack of rushing attempts. I just don't get it. So again, he started off slow last year, still ran for almost 1,100 yards. So hopefully we can just get that figured out, preferably this week. Be great.
Yeah, that pick 6 on the 2-yard line, that was brutal. I mean, that looked like a bunch of panic right there. They just got to slow down, get back to what they were doing at the end of last year. So,
Let's see what that's. He is at 2-3 right now. He has 2 passing touchdowns, 3 picks, and a rushing touchdown. So it's
I think
brutal
he has
for.
a couple fumbles.
Yeah, he does have a couple fumbles in there. He has 3 actually.
Yeah.
So it's not looking good. He's been sacked 10 times. You can blame it on the O line, but like you said, he can't escape the pocket. And he's not. But moving on, Badge. Who's your stardom week 3 QB?
so my start on week 3 QB, I'm going back to you like that. So I think both these offenses are going to have big days. I'm going Kirk Cousins against the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers defense gives up in the first 2 weeks over 25 points to opposing quarterbacks. I mean, I know the Dolphins, Tua, all those weapons, they were no light task, but they gave up 25 points to Ryan Tannehill. Come on. I mean, come on. this Vikings offense is so high powered, and that Chargers defense looks like Swiss cheese. I mean, I feel like it's going to be a shootout. I mean, that's a fantasy owner's daydream right here. This game, anyone in this offense, these offenses, start them. I think Kirk Cousins is going to go for 300 yards at least and 3 touchdowns. Jordan Addison's big day. Jefferson always has a big day. Hawkinson. I mean, I'm going Kirk Cousins. I mean, that's my stardom. Baney?
It's a great pick. I have a DFS lineup that has almost both like whole offenses, a piece from each. And for this exact reason, it is just going to be bombs over Baghdad all day. Like it's like Treylon Burks had like a 70-yard reception against this Chargers defense. What do you think Jefferson's going to do? What do you think Addison's going to do? Like, yeah, I mean Hawkinson's going to get peppered with targets. You said start anybody. I still wouldn't touch Alexander Madison, but I think yeah, dude, Kirk Cousins is going to do what he's done both first 2 weeks. He's going to throw for 1,000,000 yards, probably lose the game, but it'll be fine.
I'm on that train with you. I think this is going to be a shootout. I mean, last week, 364 yards and 4 TDs. The man was possessed. Looking at his schedule down the line here, man, they got San Fran week 7, Green Bay week 8, New Orleans week 10. Other than that, man, he can put up some major points through this season, dude. I wouldn't be surprised if Kirky finishes top 3 QBs. I wouldn't be surprised. Um, he's Mr. Consistent. You know you're getting at least, we talked about in other episodes, he's at least getting 30 TDs at the bare minimum. So you're seeing production out of him still. He's playing for a contract as well. We'll see if he stays in Minnesota. So I like it. I like the pick.
I was
Hopefully
going to
the
wear.
Jets trade for him, man.
Oh, that would be dangerous. But dude, I was going to wear my chain and everything, no shirt, but I didn't feel it was appropriate. Do you guys feel like this is a must-win game for both teams? That's how I'm feeling. I mean, 2 0-2s. I mean, I feel like they're going to go hard. What do you guys think?
I think it's gonna be a bloodbath, dude. Because we touched on the Chargers already. I mean, these guys got to win. Like, I understand it's week 3, but 0-3 that's a rough way to start a season. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, I think there's more pressure on the Chargers than there is the Vikings, though. Just because everybody had high hopes for this Chargers offense, which they are producing. It's just the defense has to play catch up here, and we all know Minnesota's defense is decimated. Like they got rid of so many guys during the offseason as well. So I do feel like there's more pressure on the Chargers.
100%.
But I'm going to make my stardom here. It's going to be quick and simple. I'm not going to go in detail with numbers and everything like that. My stardom this week is Brock Purdy. He's going up against the worst defense in the league. This team is clicking on all cylinders as well. Brock is slinging the rock against the Giants on Prime Thursday night. So keeping it short and sweet, go around the horn, take it as you wish. The Giants defense is horrible.
Yeah, I didn't know that teams got 2 bye weeks this year.
It's
This is terrible. Not to steal the stardom spotlight, but like, I don't think there's much to say about Purdy. I think this whole conversation. Do you believe that Barkley's going to play Thursday?
I
Have you
I
seen that
doubt it.
report?
Yeah, I
That's
seen it.
insane. There's no way.
No. I actually got a video. I seen it with my own 2 eyes. I got a, believe it or not, an inside source at that game in Arizona. I seen Barkley getting taken away on the cart. I do not believe he's going to play that game. So you cannot tell me otherwise.
No chance.
I mean, what can I say about this stardom? I mean, Brock the Rock, you nailed it. Last year, he was impressive. This year, we talked about the Steelers' defense, how good they were yesterday. I mean, what he did, he carved up that Steelers defense, my Steelers defense. I was there live watching that. It wasn't even Thanksgiving. I felt like I was watching a turkey being cut. I mean, this guy has no losses yet. The guy kind of reminds me a little bit of Tom Brady. He just wins and he putting up stats. This can't go wrong with Brock. I mean, I don't think any week. That whole San Fran offense, the whole San Fran team is scary. But yeah, I love Brock.
I think Ayuk has a shoulder injury or something that popped up today, but that doesn't mean anything. They're gonna score very fast and often, and I think McCaffrey is just gonna ride him off into the sunset for the remainder of the last 3 quarters, and it's just gonna be a nice, quick, and efficient game for Brock Purdy, and yeah.
It's a scary team right there when you think about it.
And what I like also too, he does not turn the ball over. He does not have a turnover yet. No interceptions. He does have a couple fumbles, but it's throwing the ball, man. No picks. You can't ask for more than that, man. Someone who's smart with the football.
Unbelievable. This
But-
guy, underdog. I love him.
But moving on to the running backs, Vaney, who's your stardom for week 3 at the running back position?
So this guy is fan favorite on this podcast, and I think this is finally the week that we stop getting deprived. Jahmyr Gibbs. Montgomery's down. I understand they signed Zonovan Knight. However, you can't deny us Jahmyr Gibbs anymore. Dan Campbell, give us what we want. Just give him the ball. Yeah, I mean, Atlanta's defense is good. However, they've given up 238 yards rushing so far. I really think that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get the ball. And I've been saying it since week 1. He's going to get in the end zone. He's going to get in the end zone. You can't keep him off the field now. Montgomery is out. Zonovan Knight was not on a roster for a reason. Just give him the ball. Just give us what we want. I'm tired of begging for it. This kid's talent and efficiency is undeniable. We just need to finally see a full sample size. Like, give us Jahmyr Gibbs unleashed. I understand wanting to keep him healthy. I get all that. I think the guys outside of Amon-Ra have proven to be pretty surprising in the wide receivers. I really thought Gibbs was going to make up for a lot of their deficiencies, but like Reynolds and those guys have produced. They've been good, which has surprised me. I thought we were going to see Gibbs in the slot a lot more. But hopefully we get a lot of Gibbs this week. So fingers crossed. The only way this doesn't work out for us is if they keep keeping him off the field. But I can't see that happening this week. So let me know how you feel.
Yeah, first of all, I mean, I want to give a shout out to Jared Goff after being traded and seeing. I thought this guy was going to be at an all-time low, but bouncing back in this offense. I mean, with Gibbs, we're all big on him. Everyone's big on him. I mean, we drafted him in the 2nd round. I reached for him in a couple drafts just because I was that excited about him. Do you guys think that Swift injuries have a little plays in the back of their mind? That's why they're saving him a little bit, because this guy is explosive with the ball. I mean, I think from here on out, especially with Montgomery not playing, I think we're going to see a lot of Gibbs, a lot of dump offs. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this guy play. I think he's going to put some points. I'm not giving up. I mean, I'm starting him for sure. So, Teague?
Yeah, I got a lot of equity in Gibbs for sure. To answer your question, no, I don't think that plays in the back of their mind whatsoever. Week 1, because you heard it all before the season started how they're going to use this guy in different ways. Week 1, his snap percentage was 27, bumped it up week 2 to almost 50%. Week 3 is going to be undeniable now, like Baney said, because Montgomery's out. So please, if you're going to beat Atlanta, please use it by using Gibbs. That's the only way I'll accept that, because I have so many shares of Gibbs and I need to see it. I actually feel they should use Gibbs how Bijan's used in Atlanta. That's how Gibbs should be used. Quick outs, quick slants, some rushing thrown in there. That's how he should be used. That's what I thought we were promised. And I thought the roles were going to be reversed, where Bijan was going to settle in a little bit like how Gibbs is now. So I'm hoping too.
I'm excited for this game. I mean, that's an overplay right there. I mean,
But
I hope so, man. I really hope that it's fireworks. I mean, everything they said about this guy, they weren't concerned about his size. They were willing to move up even higher to get him. They wanted him, and they wanted him to be the guy. And then all of a sudden, like 2 days before week one, they're like, well, we're going to see. And then we're going to sprinkle him in. It's like, come on. Like, let's go. Let's get this thing rolling. So let's hope it's this week. So, yeah.
all right, Badge, your stardom, week 3 running back.
oh, dude, I don't even want to say this guy. I mean, it hurts me to say it. But Steelers Nation, do not beat me up because these guys can tell you how passionate I am about this team. But I think we're going to see another game dating back from last year. I faded this guy. A lot of people faded this guy. My stardom this week's Josh Jacobs against Pittsburgh. I mean, I've never, as a Steelers fan, I have never in my life seen these big chunk run plays. So, like I said, I think Josh Jacobs going to get the rock. I think Jimmy G's going to rely on him. He's going to get big 30-yard runs, 10-yard runs. He might even break a big one. We've all seen it with Ford. He is a very good matchup this week against Pittsburgh, running up the middle, not outside. Josh Jacobs, you got to start him this week against the Pittsburgh run defense. I mean, it's only week 2, but we've seen these running backs torch this defense, put up big numbers. Josh Jacobs, start him this week. Baney wants to chime in on this. I can see it. Kick us off.
I understand the philosophy behind the pick. I get it. I am notoriously not a Jacobs fan. Negative 2 yards rushing last week. You can't get any worse than that. But like you said though, the weak points that you hit on are what Josh Jacobs excels at. So I could see it. I really could see it. I would like to think that the Steelers' defense is better than what we saw on Monday night, and that's a benefit to Cleveland having a great offensive line. And a divisional rivalry game. Those teams know each other. Yeah, I hope for your sake that the defense is better than what we just talked about in that game in the running defense, but I could see the scenario playing out how you just painted that picture, that Jacobs can take an A gap 45, 60 yards, and unless Minka says something about it, but
Hoping he plays. He got hurt. So
taking knees.
The only thing that worries me, yeah, Buffalo Bills laid it on him last week. Week 1 though, Denver, man, 19 carries for 48 yards. Denver, yeah, it's a sneaky defense there in Denver, but I believe Pittsburgh's D is that much better. Yeah, they've been struggling against the run, but again, they went up against a great O-line in Cleveland with Nick Chubb, who had 60 yards at half. The backup ended up there with 106. The week prior, they met Christian McCaffrey, week 1. Is the Raiders going to be that? I don't know. That's the only thing I'm looking at. So we'll find out. But in all theories and all, you're looking at apples to apples, that should happen. But we'll see if the Raiders can capitalize on that.
Yeah, I just think that outside pass rush with Watt and Highsmith coming up. Cam Hayward out. We got some young talents. I think they're going to be fine. I love those two guys backing up Hayward. But like I said, they're young. They're still learning. I mean, that middle is wide open. I can see 10-yard, 15, even breaking off some 40s. That's where I'm going with it. I mean, I haven't seen this many chunk run plays in a long time. Usually Pittsburgh is a staple for the run defense.
Yeah. Moving on here to my stardom at the running back. One of you might agree, one of you might not. It's not going to be a fan favorite. I know that for a fact. I got Najee Harris as a stardom week 3 here. And I'm going to tell you why. Uh, this guy faced top 2 defenses right off the rip with the Niners and the Cleveland Browns. He had the same O line. They upgraded that line. But last year, when they had that worst line, he still had 1,200 yards on the ground in this Matt Canada offense. The days ahead are coming. They're facing Vegas, who I think their defense, nothing special. Then they come back with Houston the week prior. I think you're going to see Najee turn up here in the next couple of weeks. It's just bound to happen, dude. This dude is a hoss. He got drafted high. You saw the tape at Alabama, and the numbers speak for itself, man. He's getting hit. What is it, Badge? I believe 70% of the time behind the O line. So
Behind the O-line.
he's not getting a chance this season, the first 2 weeks. So I don't think the Raiders have that kind of pass rush or run stop in them to contain Najee. So I think the rain's finally going away, and you're going to see some sun here with Najee Harris.
Yeah, I'll take this one before Baney. So this is a similar like Justin Fields scenario for fantasy owners. I feel like for Najee, this is going to be a make or break matchup. I mean, the matchup is favorable. If he's going to do it, he has to do it now. I mean, like Teak said, that Raiders defense, run defense, is nothing to write home about. I think he has no problem.
Just to cut you off real quick, they're ranked 28th against the run.
28th against the run. I mean, I think now is the time they're going to hand the rock off. Matt Canada, he's Pickett. I mean, his confidence, I'm hoping he goes back up, but they're going to have to hand the ball off to Najee, especially knowing this matchup. I think he's going to get at least 80 and a touchdown. He has to do it for us fantasy owners. I mean, like I said, him and Justin Fields, we're waiting. I'm waiting. So I think I agree with it. I think he's going to have a decent match. He has a great matchup. I think he's going to have a decent day against the Raiders defense. Pass it to Baney.
And there's no bias. There's no bias for you agreeing with me whatsoever.
Yeah, no. I mean, you saw. I just. As much as I love Pittsburgh, I mean, we're all about making our viewers money here. So I mean, I just picked Jacobs against my team. So I'm not just saying Najee because I love him. You guys know how much I love this team. And
here's the thing that surprises me too. For how bad he's playing, week 1 he's averaging 5 yards per carry. Week 2 he averaged 4. So they're just not giving him the attempts. He had 6 attempts and 10. You got to give him the rock more. Those are not bad numbers for those amount of carries. So I don't know why they're straying away from him. So obviously in the first game they put it on him quick, but that Browns game, man, it seemed like it was close. They were up. Give your workhorse the load, man.
I feel like it's just an uphill battle for Najee all the time with this line. And I mean, they improved on paper. They just got to execute. And Matt Canada, it's an uphill battle for him. So now's the time that he can really get out there and show what he can do, I think.
Baney, do you have everything for Harris?
I mean, just to talk about the things that work against him is why I'm gonna stray away from this. Like, I could see a scenario where Pittsburgh is gonna have to throw the ball a lot in order to win this game, because I feel like that's just how their game scripts are going so far this year. I mean, you're painting the picture that Jacobs could run all over this defense, and then they still have one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. So if Minka's banged up, I mean, you going to put rookie Joey Porter on him? You going to put 90-year-old Patrick Peterson on him? I don't know. But it really looks like they're just going to try to throw Kenny into being successful, and it hasn't worked. And if it's a passing game, then Jaylen Warren's going to be the guy that's in more often. So I don't know. Hopefully this works out for you. I feel like it won't. But yeah, and I just I'm not a buyer of the Steelers' offensive line, man. It was supposed to be better. I was huge on Sayamalu from Philly. They drafted that kid. He didn't even win the starting job out of camp. I don't understand. I mean, you and I talked about it, Mike. Like it's like 40 years of excellence, and it's just like for some reason there's just certain aspects this team cannot improve on, and the offensive line is one of it. So I don't know.
Yeah, just week by week, I think that this matchup I like. I think this is going to build that confidence for fantasy owners and Najee in the Steelers line. So I think, like I said, I think he's going to have 80 yards, a touchdown, maybe a couple receptions. Good day for fantasy owners, but yeah, that offensive line needs to take that next step. We drafted Broderick Jones, got a couple free agent pickups from Philly. I mean, he's got to click. They had a tough task these first 2 weeks. And again, it's only week 2, but keep my fingers crossed. I have Najee in a couple leagues, so I don't hate the start.
I think we've set the trend that this was going to be the make or break list this week, and I feel like this pick is right on pace with my Justin Fields pick. To be honest with you, I think 3 is a trend, and if it's 3 straight weeks of 5 points worth of fantasy production, then the Steelers are showing you kind of what it's going to be, honestly. And yeah, but hey, if it works, it works, and hopefully it works for you, Badge.
All right, moving on to the wide receivers. Baney, who's your stardom for week 3 for the wideout position?
This is probably my most excited player to talk about on this whole list. Sit him, start him, both of them. If you pay attention to the TikTok videos, he was one of my emergency last second waiver wire pickups, and he didn't disappoint. It is Rashid Shaheed from New Orleans. He is exactly what you would hope a waiver wire pickup player would be. He gets minimal targets and makes the absolute most out of it. And he did it last year as well. I mean, and it's proven that he's the third guy and he's producing. Week 1, 5 catches, 89 yards, touchdown, almost 18 yards per reception. Week 2, 4 for 63, almost 16 yards per reception. That being said, I think what is it? Ritter had 237 passing with 4 players at 11 yards per catch or higher. Fields had 216 passing, 3 with 12 or more. I think Carr is better than both of those quarterbacks. I think we would all agree here. I think Olave and Thomas will. I think that they're going to occupy the main corners, and which is just going to leave him to keep doing what he's been doing, which is spread the field, and he's going to capitalize on those opportunities. And like I said, if you're lucky, you got him for free off waivers. If you're in deep leagues, you drafted him late, and his production has been incredible. And I'm a big fan. He's very fast. I don't like receivers with 20s. Their numbers are god awful. It's very confusing. They lost Jamal Williams this week, and it looks like he's going to be gone for a couple weeks as well. So unless you're banking on whatever talent they have left in the running back room, it might just be Taysom Hill show back there. But I expect they're going to throw the ball a lot this week. So yeah, Rashid Shaheed, fun to say, fun to watch. That's my stardom this week.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the game last night because I'm not gonna lie, they kept putting it up next to the Steeler game, kept bugging me, making the screen smaller. But Derek Carr, anytime he needed to play, he found this guy. I mean, definitely worth a FanDuel stardom. It's gonna be cheap. I mean, those Green Bay Packers corners, they're gonna be focused, I think, on Olave, maybe even Thomas. I mean, Carr can find this guy for big plays, so I could see him breaking one for a touchdown, 80 yards, like he's been doing, 5, 6, 7 receptions. I mean, not a bad. It's a great value pick, especially in a FanDuel lineup. I mean, yeah, I could see it. Teak?
So I got some positives and negatives. Positive too, he is a returner. So might get maybe a return touchdown. You might be surprised by something like that. But the negatives, his snap percentage is going down. It week 1 it was 55, now it's down to 49. I need to see him on the field more. If he's not on the field, how can he make these plays? So that's the only thing that concerns me a little bit about him. Other than that, he has been consistent around 13, 14 fantasy points per week.
Yeah, it seems like Carr finds him when he needs a big play running up the sideline, hits him. So I mean, definitely a lot of value there. I mean, not in a 10-man league or anything, but definitely 12 maybe if you want to start him in a flex or a 14-man league. Definitely a FanDuel value is there.
100%.
Moving on, your wide receiver. Who do you got?
So my stardom wide receiver, we touched on this guy a lot, or early on, not a lot. Well, a lot. We all faded him, all three of us, and a lot of fantasy owners faded him. I'll admit I faded him. I'm going Mike Evans. I mean, this Philly defense, these first 2 weeks, they're 28th worst against fantasy wide receivers. He's been Mr. Consistent throughout his career. I think he's going to continue. Like I said, Baker has that fire. I think he's going to find him. He's going to get in the end zone again for the 3rd consecutive week. So I expect another big week from Mike Evans. So.
Yeah. The history of the Eagles' secondary injuries is well noted from last week. Reed Blankenship's out. Bradbury's out. Maddox tore his pec. He's done for the year. So, I mean, I don't know what is going to prevent Mike Evans from being able to take the top off, to be honest with you. I wake up every day and pray for Budda Baker to be an Eagle. There's rumblings here and there that might happen. It's definitely not going to happen. He's not going to be our savior this week. I am concerned that Mike Evans is going to be the reason I'm screaming at my TV all Monday night.
I think they put him on the IR list, didn't they?
Who?
Budda Baker.
I saw something this week. They put him down so they didn't have to play him or something. I don't know. There's rumors too, like Philly is clearing space off like practice team players and whatnot. I don't know. I don't know if they do that so they don't have to pay Budda while they're trying to shop him. I don't know. I am having a hard time trusting what I'm hearing as far as like injury stuff, like with everything that happened with the running backs this offseason. Like, is it a ploy? Is it not? Like, I don't know. But there's loopholes that they don't have to pay these guys while they shop them, and I think that might be a move because Arizona is definitely going to be a fire sale coming soon.
As far as for me, for Mike Evans, yeah, man, he's with all those injuries on the secondary for the Eagles, he's also getting these targets, man. He's averaging 9 targets a game. That's huge right there. And Baker's putting it on him, man. So it's crazy to think that Baker has his team 2-0 right now. But then you kind of look at the defense there and you kind of remind yourself they have good pieces on offense too. Baker just had to be serviceable, and Baker right now is a serviceable QB. So if he continues this, you're going to keep seeing this trend. And I guarantee a lot of people faded Mike Evans came draft time because of Baker. And I think we all did. We underestimated Baker, and Baker's showing like, hey, dude, he goes, I can still play a little bit. So
direct quote was, "Get your weight up, little boy."
Yeah, I seen that boy. So
And-
yeah, I like the pick, and
I mean, yeah, you got 2 people we all of us underestimated, and I mean, I think this lit a fire under these guys. You got 2 guys playing with some fire, with Mike Evans disputing with the contract and how consistent he's been, and then Baker, what Cleveland did to him. He's been to 4 teams now. I mean, you got 2 guys playing with some fire and some purpose. I mean, it's exciting to watch. So I'm happy for both of them, even though, I hated Baker. Baney was a big fan. And the reason I hated Baker, because the energy he brought. And I think that's the reason Baney loved him. So.
Short guys with horrible attitudes. He's a different guy outside of the Progressive commercials.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Did he end up selling his previous home? Did he get someone to move in, or I haven't seen a
Yeah.
progressive commercial since.
Yeah,
But
rumors are the new homeowner up there in Cleveland's not taking care of it. So.
He's making that new buyer regret it, I think, and the fans and the residents, we should say.
so moving on, man. My wide receiver to start this week. I got Zay Flowers. So he's averaging around 70 yards a game. OBJ might be out this week. Uh, so if that's the case, he is the number one in Baltimore. Then if OBJ is out, his target share is up there, his snap percentage is up there, and Colts give up the second most fantasy points to the wideout position. So it's just a mixture for a stardom for week 3. Everything is coming to fruition for this stardom for week 3 for me. And Zay Flowers, out of all the rookies, impressed me a lot so far of what he's producing. So he's my start for the wideouts.
Yeah, I would argue he's the wide receiver one, even if Odell is there. Um, I we've talked about Zay Flowers feels like almost every episode, and it's warranted. What he did at Boston College has translated. His route running is terrific. He's wide open all the time. He's electric with the ball, and all that is. I mean, it's translating. It's all on the field. It's on tape. It's double digit fantasy points both weeks. Um, and I don't want to hear that he has to compete with Mark Andrews for targets anymore because Zay Flowers is the guy. He is 100% the guy. And what you said about them, not playing defense very well in Indianapolis. Gilmore's not there anymore, and yeah, I think Zay Flowers is going to. I don't know. Does he crack 100 this week? Does he
I,
get his first 100-yard game in the NFL?
if it's first 100, he better believe he's getting a touchdown too, his very first touchdown. So that
I
might be
love it.
it might be a prop bet to look out for. Anytime touchdown for Zay. We'll see.
I'm a fan. I can't believe it hasn't really happened yet. To be honest, I'm a huge Zay Flowers fan. I have him in my fantasy league. I will be starting him this week, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Zay is the play. He just proved. Everyone said, can Lamar hit these wide receivers? And I think OBJ is just that vet presence, even if he's in. I don't think he's going to be the guy. He's just going to be that name. Zay has that big home run power. He brings that offense. And Lamar, he's actually throwing him the ball, which is surprising because he usually goes to the tight end or runs the ball with his legs. So, yeah, I agree. Zay is he's been that guy that we all talked about every episode. So I like the start.
It's like the meme where it's like one of these are not the same, and it's literally their wide receivers, and it's literally Duvernay, Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, Zay Flowers. Like, that's what Lamar's working with. So, I mean, Zay Flowers to the absolute moon is it's definitely the play for sure. And Lamar looks good, man. Lamar's making people like Nelson Aguilar talked about on podcasts again. So that's a miracle in itself. So
Yeah, I think Zay's going to be the guy that we thought Hollywood would be for him. I mean, making plays.
Yeah, he gives me
better hands, that's for sure.
he gives me. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be as good as this guy. I don't want to get that twisted right off the rip before I even say this. But he just the way he runs routes gives me Antonio Brown vibes. He's quick, comes out of the routes quick. That's all I'm saying. He's not going to be as good as Antonio Brown, I don't think. We'll see, but just gives me those vibes. But moving on to the tight end position, Bainey, to wrap up the stardoms. Who you got starting week 3?
We're going to go with another waiver wire hero. We're going to go with the guy that is the sole reason that I won this week in fantasy. Number 2 highest scoring tight end this week in fantasy, Hunter Henry. Not a name I expected to be talking about. Bill O'Brien has changed what this offense completely looks like. He is stapled in as a part of this offense. He was somebody who's been forgotten about for the last 2 years, maybe 3. Week 1, he had 6 targets, 5 receptions, 56 yards, and a touchdown. Week 2, 7 targets, 6 receptions, 52 yards, and a touchdown. His role in this offense is it's a staple, like I just said. Mac is, I don't want to say mediocre Mac. I've heard that term being thrown around, but he looks good this year. They're not afraid to throw the ball. It looks like a completely different offense that we've seen last year. Yeah, Bill O'Brien's the sole reason for that. And Hunter Henry had good years in the NFL, but he looks really good right now. And this tight end position has been talked about at length on this podcast. That if you don't have the Kelsey, the Hawkinson, it's going to be a 10-point hover right there. Well, he had 17 points this week. That's huge. That's huge when you're competing against people that are hovering 10 to 13 points. And like I said, it was the difference between me winning this week. I had to make a decision, and it was between him or it was between Zach Ertz on the waiver wire, which
And you listen to Teak Stardom. You can say it from last
uh,
week.
but Zach Ertz is getting a 30% target share in that offense. Unfortunately, it's just not going for yards or touchdowns. He's getting peppered with targets and catches, which is great in a full PPR, but Hunter Henry is capitalizing in the red zone. He's getting those touchdowns, and I don't think that trend is going to change because I don't think Kendrick Bourne is that guy. I don't think anybody thinks that. We're seeing flashes of Kayshon Boutte, which is wild. And then we're seeing the other rookie in Douglas. So I don't know, man. I think Hunter Henry is a staple in that offense, and I don't think it's going to change. I don't think he's going to be 150 yards, 12 catches. I don't think he's going to be that guy ever. But I think what you're seeing is what you can expect on a week to week basis.
So, yep. I mean, I think we can all agree that Bill Belichick's offense always involves the tight ends. The only thing that worries me about this is that Jets defense. I mean, they're absolutely elite. I mean, I think this is going to be a low scoring game. The last time they met up, it was 10-7. I mean, not disagreeing with Hunter Henry and the player he is. I think he's going to have a great year and a great fantasy year, but the matchup here just scares me. If he can find the end zone, like you said, he had 50 yards, a touchdown each game. He's got to find the end zone here. It's just that matchup against the Jets defense. That's what's scaring me here. I mean, that defense is absolutely elite. So I don't know if I like the matchup. I like Hunter Henry as the tight end, Bainey, but this matchup, that's going to be a tough matchup for him. And I mean, like I said, Belichick loves the tight end. So if someone's going to score, it could be him. So that's my input.
Yeah, everybody thought, I think, Gesicki was going to take over this role and didn't. Just by looking at the snap percentages, he went from 80 from week 1 to 92 week 2. He is the tight end there. So if you're banking on Gesicki, the only way you're banking on that is if Hunter Henry gets hurt. He just solidified his spot there. As I said before, just jokingly, I did have him starting last week. I thought that was a great matchup for him. This week, it's tough for me as a stardom. Like Badge said, with this Jets defense, this Jets defense showed me a lot in the 2 weeks, especially without Rodgers. So if you're in a tight spot, yeah, you don't have, like Baney said, those top tier guys. He is an option. Um, but I don't know, man. It's a flip of a coin, I think, this week. He has to find the end zone to get that production to 17 points if he's staying around that. But I could see him getting I would say about 9, 10 points this week.
Yeah, I mean, this was my underplay of the week. I just think we're going to see a boring game. I mean, someone has to find the end zone. So if it's Hunter Henry,
He might get peppered. It might be small yardage.
you know,
So
That's my whole prediction with this is I think the 5 to 6 catches is going to be normal. I really do. He's not going to have to deal with Sauce guarding him. You know what I mean?
no, he won't.
It's
But their
he's going to
linebacker
be.
core is tough as well with Mosley there.
It
So
is, but the safest option in a pass game is the tight end. That's old, reliable, and he's proven that he is just that for Mac. And Mac's not going to have time to think about it. He's going to have people in his face the whole game. So I can see this playing out where he's just getting quick dump offs. 4 to 5 yard routes, ends, get the ball.
Some
He's
ti
definitely not going to be a yak guy for sure, but
No, you might see a little couple tight end screens just for like 2 or 3 yards. I wouldn't be surprised just to pick up first down, something like that. I know Belichick loves those little dumps. Like he's just known for the intricate little just moving up the field. But
Yeah, and a good thing too. I mean, I think that this Patriots offense is going to be on the field a lot against this defense. I mean, they could get tired out. I have zero faith in Zach Wilson at this point. I mean, I don't think his confidence is there. I just think I'm not sold on Zach Wilson. I don't think anybody is. So late in the game, I mean, this defense is going to get tired out. So I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of the Patriots offense. So I mean, you could see some catches in a potential touchdown. So.
a badge with the Situm of the year with Brees Hall last week, by the way. Oh, Teak? Oh, I remembered it wrong. Dude,
I was
great
on one.
call.
I was on
Great.
1 week too.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't miss on week 1 to sit him, and I think you carried the load this week. Brees Hall is not happy that he was on your list because I don't know who heard Jets organization, but they did not play that man at all. It was bad.
And
Yeah, I think when I sat Brees, he ripped a 70-yard run right up the rip. I'm like, damn it. So I did sit him 1 week, but it was the wrong week.
But tight end here, Batch. Moving on here. Who do you have at the tight end spot?
So here's a guy I doubled down on this year. Bunch of talent. He's a freak athlete. I think if he's going to have a week this year, it's going to be Kyle Pitts. I mean, going against Detroit, they're the number 2 defense and giving up points to the tight end. I mean, this guy's a freak. I think they're going to watch film. I think they're going to know they got to get him involved. I mean, the guy has so much talent. Like I said, I doubled down on him this year. Ritter, he zinged the ball a little bit. There's some flashes here and there. I think the run is going to open that up. This Falcons offense, I mean, there's so many explosive weapons. I think they're going to get him out in space. I'm going Kyle Pitts as my stardom.
So I'm just going to go ahead of you here, Baney, first because I actually have Kyle Pitts as well. Between Kyle Pitts and if you don't like Kyle Pitts, I like Jonnu Smith too. So it's one of these 2 tight ends is going to have a day, I believe. Just cut a couple points Badge hit on. Ranked 3rd, like you said, against the tight end position, I believe it was, 3rd worst. Arthur Smith is the main reason I don't like all the backlash about Kyle Pitts. We'll get that out of the way. It's Arthur Smith's world. We're just living in it. Week 1, he showed you the run game. Didn't pass at all. He had 18 passing attempts week 1. Week 2, he flipped that on its head. 32 passing attempts. So he's not scared to throw the ball, but with this matchup where I believe you're going to have to throw the ball to keep up, it's going to go to Pitts this week. You're going to see, obviously, Drake London involved a little bit. Even, dude, Mac Hollins surprised me, man, with his play lately. That dude's a big-time dude. But Kyle Pitts, this is going to be Kyle Pitts' week. After that, though, man, looking at this schedule, yeah, Falcons have one of the easiest schedule, but just looking at Jacksonville coming up next, if you don't like Pitts and don't trust him, after this week where I think he's going to have a huge week, this might be the week to trade him, if you're not fully invested in Pitts. So once he has this game, he might be that trade target you need for someone else to get rid of him and pick up someone in the flex, or if you need a running back, something like that.
Yeah, real quick, Baney. I said number 2. I knew that was on the boards. Number 3. And this is another fantasy make or break player, I think, with Najee and Fields. So I just want to touch on that, and I'll let you take it over from here, Baney.
Yeah, the list remains true. I think this is impressive that none of us really came up with this idea together as a collective, but everybody seems to be on pace with the exact same ideology this week that it's put up or shut up for these players. And yeah, Kyle Pitts week 3. I feel like we've been here before. We sit around waiting, and then you finally sit him, and then he has his game against Jacksonville and London for 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown, whatever he did over there. And it's like, is this finally going to be that week? Who knows? They just rediscovered the fact that they have Drake London on their team last week. It was incredible. Could it be Fitz' week this week? We all know he has the talent. We all know he has the measurables. We all know that he grades out as one of the top 3 tight ends in like every single category. We've done all the research. We've seen it all. It's just really getting annoying that you don't get to watch it happen. Because he's awesome. Like, he's so awesome that we're watching highlight tapes of him just running routes, cooking cornerbacks, like, and not getting the ball. Like, that's how awesome Kyle Pitts is. Just want to see him get the ball. Like, it's all I want to see. I do think this game could be a shootout unless Atlanta's defense really steps up. Like, really steps up. They're good. Bates is really good. They've put together a really good team, man. I've said it before on here. I have a future for them to make the playoffs, and I stand on that. I really do. Is it at home, Teak?
It's in Detroit.
It's in Detroit.
Okay.
This was actually my best bet, taking the over. Atlanta, I think they're going to surprise some people. I mean, that's a team you're not going to want to play if they get in the playoffs. I mean, don't take them lightly.
And for you Pitts owners, if you're still shaking your head saying you don't believe it, I'm gonna give you some more hope here. Snap percentage went up from week 1 to week 2. Targets went up from week 1 to week 2. So if everything's going up and it's trending up, I ain't gonna complain then. He's getting five plus targets. That's good for a tight end. So
I would like to know too, like, I don't think we'll ever get the full truth of like whether or not he was really like healthy this offseason. I heard a lot of mixed reviews. Like, you and I had conversations, and then like I would read reports, but then reports that I would read weren't really matching up with like people on like really big shows, like fantasy talk shows, were saying that like they didn't like what they were seeing or hearing, and thought the same way. It wasn't really matching up. So it's like, were they just easing him in? I don't know. I mean, he's been open a lot, and Ritter just hasn't gotten the ball. So this could very well be a different conversation. If they were getting him the ball, we wouldn't even be having this debate. So it's like, maybe they were easing him into a bigger role. Maybe they just missed him a couple of times. I don't know. I do think that the 1 week that you sit him, he is going to explode.
and
I wouldn't sit him this week.
just to go off that as well too. I'm sure you've seen the week 1 post. I think it was who's the old Cowboys receiver? Drawing a blank. Bryant put out.
Yes.
Yeah, Des put out that he wished he was in Dallas. I believe week 1 that Carolina grab over 2 people. That shows me he's healthy. He's running deep routes like that, catching the ball over people. Me and you talked about it, like you said. Yeah, he didn't look right in training camp with the cuts and everything. But after I saw that catch, I'm like, this dude has to be healthy, or they're not sending him on go routes like that. And he's making those type of plays. And he looks like he's healthy, like you said. He's open. It's just Ritter has to find him, and he got some big body receivers to find. So it's not hard to spot these guys out here. All these guys are big receivers. So
Ritter, get him the ball, make him afraid of this passing game as well as that running game. Get him the ball.
So that does end our stardom section. We appreciate you guys, man, going through it with us. Hopefully, again, this helps you guys out. Let us know in the comments what stardoms you liked, what stardoms you didn't like. Again, hit that subscribe button as well. 70% of you are still not following the channel. That helps us out tremendously. You don't even know. It takes 2 seconds to make that YouTube account.
It's free.
And it's free. So don't be.
And you get free bets too. Get free bets.
Don't be wowed by it's a subscription. No, it's totally free. So please spike that subscribe button for us.
Headbutt it.
And let's win some money for you guys. We'll see you on the next one.